SafeSpace, refuge for growth and healing. Want to be connected to all that SafeSpace has to offer? Join our email community. Stay in the loop with inspirational insights and updates. Join our email community and connect with like-minded individuals on the path to self-discovery. Sign up now.
Find your tribe in a safe, supportive space. Join the SafeSpace private community and connect with others who get it. We're waiting for you. Stay connected wherever you are with lives and video drops. Text VTerrillHill to 833-458-3658 for instant updates and powerful insights. Join the text community now. Curious about what's next? Book an intuitive tarot reading with VTerrillHill and get the clarity you need. Your future awaits. Heal from within and transform your life. Schedule a soul healing consultation and take the first step towards wholeness. Start your journey today.
Click the Linktree link inside of the description box connected to this video for all of what the SafeSpace universe has to offer.
My people, my people, my people, my people, my people, my people. How are y'all doing today? I hope y'all are well. I hope y'all are good. I hope you're pouring out the spout where the glory comes out. Listen, I always threaten this. I almost didn't come live today, but I got something to eat and I felt better. I was hungry, that's all. I just needed a Snickers bar. So I'm live, and we're talking about breaking the cycles. We're going to be reviewing episode 6 of this series. Now, believe it or not, guys, episode 7 is tomorrow, episode 8 is on Thursday, and then we'll be done with this series. And then we're going to take a little break on this channel. I'll be going live in the private communities that I have, but I'm not sure how much I'm going to go live after we finish episode 8 on Thursday. I'm about to take a little break. Now, half of that break is just a reset because it's good to reset. And then another half of that break, let me put this up here, is this. I booked the flight, guys. I booked the trip. I will be going to San Jose del Cabo for my birthday. Yes. So for those of you guys who were, I told you I was going to do it. I did it. So I booked it maybe an hour ago. So I'll be going for 4 days, June the 29th through July the 3rd in Cabo, enjoying the hot Mexican sun. Mexican sun. And I appreciate all of you who gave yesterday and supported. Because of you all, I was able to book that trip. So it'll be my first vacation in a very, 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 very long time. So I'm looking forward to that. So I'll be gone, not next week, but the week after next, July, starting that Sunday, July the 29th, through I think that Wednesday or Thursday, July the 4th or what have you, July the 3rd, I am going to be in Cabo eating, drinking, and sleeping, okay? So I cannot wait. Oh, thank you, Jesus. So we got to go ahead and take care of the business of the business. Now, I had to move that chair. So we got to take care of the business of the business. So I'm not sure how much I'll be going live after this Thursday, up until I get back on July. Again, the private community folks, you will see me. I will never stop going live in my private communities, but on this channel, we're going to take a pause for a little reset, a little break. And then when we come back on the second week of July, we're coming back fresh and ready to rock and roll. Okay. All right. A little bit of announcements. All right. Are y'all ready to talk about breaking the cycle? If you're glad to be here this evening, drop 3 green hearts in the comments. Yep. Drop 3 green hearts in the comments if you're glad to be here. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're here. I'll be glad when this is over. I don't know why I came up with this idea, but I came up with it. And I'm like, oh my God, because I feel like every evening I'm over here in some heaviness. Like it always feels like I'm about to preach a message. I don't know why. Fine, whatever. We'll just go with the flow like we always do. But today we're talking about the pattern ends here. We have a special guest on this episode, Shante Robinson. Jesus Christ. Shante Charles. Who is Shante Robinson? Is there do we know a Shante Robinson? Why I call that lady Shante? Y'all know I've been knowing Shante for years. How I mess up her name? Shante Charles. Shante Charles is a guest, and I interviewed her for this series of Breaking the Cycles. So, like we've been doing all week and last week, I'll just go until I feel like it's stopped. Let's see. LaQuisha says, because it is heavy, but sometimes heavy is needed for healing. Yeah, a lot of times heavy is needed for healing. And the thing is, we don't always want to do heavy, and I get it. Like you say, okay, well, I've had a long day today, VTerrillHill. I don't want to come on here and have to hear this. I want to laugh and cut up. And I understand that. But let me get through this. Okay. And then we'll laugh and cut up and all the other things. Let's read some comments real quick. And then we're going to get started on episode 6. Let's say, can I brag like Lisa Bailey that I was the first like? I love you, Lisa. Yeah. I noticed it was a little slow getting in here today. Hey, Michelle, how you doing? Andrea, how are you? Good evening, SafeSpace. Good evening, VT. I hope your day yesterday and today was and have been all you wanted to be. It really was. I went to Barnes and Nobles today. Sometimes the house can be distracting. So I popped one of my helps. Okay. And went to Barnes and Nobles and got a lot of work done today. And I got a new tarot deck. I spent a lot of time playing with my new tarot deck, and I'm liable to go live in the private community just so I can just read somebody with my new deck. I love my new deck. I mean, like for real. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do it on this channel. I normally don't do tarot on this channel, but we're changing directions and I'm going to start. So that being said, I want to mix like hot topics, cultural topics, and tarot, like doing a reading on the Tyler Perry situation, like mixing spirituality and cultural topics. So I'm going to be doing a whole lot more tarot. I'm telling you right now, when I come back from this break, I am not interested in pleasing anyone. Okay. I'm coming back, creating a channel that is just as in alignment as both of my private communities. And right now, this channel is not in alignment to what should be in this space in my life. So we're going to make it in alignment. All right. So matter of fact, what I'll do, y'all remind me, because I'll forget. I'm going to get one person and call them up and give them a free quick reading so I can use my new deck. Yeah. All right, let's keep on going. Lisa Bailey. Hey, how you doing, Lisa? Michelle, how are you? I think I spoke to you already. Cookie Wookie, how you doing? Hope you're well. Dr. Creole Butterfly, a.k.a. Libra Butterfly, how are you doing? Cheryl, hey, how you doing? I hope you're well. Hope you're good. I want to go. Come on, book your ticket and come on and join me in combo. I'm so happy you booked the trip. Enjoy it to the full. Yes, Michelle. Yes. June the 29th. We up out of here. Yeah, I cannot wait. Eating, drinking, and sleeping, the other Holy Trinity, right? I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. All right, we're going to get into the thing, but I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to get there. I land around noon, right? And then I'm going to get to, it's about the resort is about 44 minutes away from the airport. So let's just, all intents and purposes, get in about 2-3 o'clock, right when it's time for check-in, right? Well, I am going to get me a hamburger. I think I said this yesterday, and a drink, and then I'm going to sleep all day. I'll wake up around 9 o'clock, just in time enough for dinner, and I'm going back to sleep. But when I rise on Thursday, when I rise on Monday, my bad, I'm rising with all power in my hand. Thank y'all for the green hearts. Thank you so much for the green hearts. Hey, Celeste, how you doing? Hope you're well. Hope you're well. Hey, Sharon, how are you? Hope you're good. Lucretia says, I almost left the house today, child. The house is very distracting. I just spent most of my day outside. The kids didn't let me be great, but oh well. Yeah, I must get some time away. It's imperative. Sometimes, because I knew if I didn't leave this house, I was not going to get what I was going to get done. And y'all, the website for the impartation conference will be up by 12 noon on, let's just say by 3 p.m. on Friday. By 3 p.m. on Friday, the impartation website will be up and ready to rock and roll. I'm here for it. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you so much. Hey, singing queen. Tracy, I thought about you 11 times today. Between your glasses and your outfit, and then you call your husband, we got some movement. We got some action. Hilarious, Tracy. Hilarious. Hey, y'all. Hey. Let's see here. Angel Heart, how are you doing? I hope you're well. Cali Diva for Life, how are you? All power, right? Right? And healing in his wings. Come on. Come on. I just want to share with you guys one more time. I did book the trip to Cabo. That's my confirmation email. No, that's my confirmation on the website. I did book the trip to Cabo. Of course, I'm not sharing, what flights and all that kind of stuff. But thank you guys so much for giving yesterday. I appreciate you all. You all are the reason why, literally, you all are the reason why I was able to book that trip. Yeah. Yeah, we got action. Tickled me. It tickled me too. It was hilarious. We got action. Larissa, how are you doing? I hope you're well, Larissa. I hope you're good. Creepy, how you doing? How you doing? All right, guys, hang in there. I'm giving a free miniature tarot card reading at the end of the show today. A free miniature tarot card reading. So if you've been wanting one, you're going to have an opportunity to get one today at the end of the show, because I bought a new deck today and I just love it and I want to just use it. All right. We're going to go on break real quick. I'm going to give you some announcements as I normally do, and then we're going to go ahead and get into this. Hey, Juice Radio Talk Show. What are you doing this coming up Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? All right, but I'm going to give you some time to answer that. I haven't. Hey, lady, how you doing? Good to see you up here. Right, we got action, babe. Yeah, we got action, babe. That's hilarious. Only in the private community, y'all. We'll be right back.
SafeSpace, refuge for growth and healing. SafeSpace, refuge for growth and healing. Want to be connected to all that SafeSpace has to offer? Join our email community. Stay in the loop with inspirational insights and updates. Join our email community and connect with like-minded individuals on the path to self-discovery. Sign up now.
Find your tribe in a safe, supportive space. Join the SafeSpace private community and connect with others who get it. We're waiting for you. Stay connected wherever you are with lives and video drops. Text VTerrillHill to 833-458-3658 for instant updates and powerful insights. Join the text community now. Curious about what's next? Book an intuitive tarot reading with VTerrillHill and get the clarity you need. Your future awaits. Heal from within and transform your life. Schedule a soul healing consultation and take the first step towards wholeness. Start your journey today.
Click the Linktree link inside of the description box connected to this video for all of what the SafeSpace universe has to offer.
All right, thank you so much for rocking with me. Hi, my name is VTerrillHill, and welcome to SafeSpace with VTerrillHill. If you want to be notified when I come live, text VTerrillHill to 833-458-3658. Text VTerrillHill to 833-458-3658 to be notified when I come live. I know that a lot of you supported me yesterday, and so I understand if you all don't support it. But if you were not a part of that number and you want to support this platform, do me a favor and send $10. So I get 10 of you to send $10. It'll help us reach our goal today. SafeSpace VTH is the Cash App. PayPal and Zelle is info@VTerrillHill.com. And the Venmo is @VTerrillHill. If you have enjoyed this series and you want to give and support this platform, you have no idea how much it helps. It's SafeSpace VTH is the Cash App. PayPal, Zelle, info@VTerrillHill.com. And Venmo is @VTerrillHill. All right. If you send me something nice, I'll open something nice. P.O. Box 221, Wisset, North Carolina 27377. P.O. Box 221, Wisset, North Carolina 27377. Join the private community. It's where I'll be going live for the next, after this week. And I'm not saying I won't go live, but I don't know how much I'm going to be going live. But I will be live continually in the private community. It's only $2.99 a month. All right. Any kind of latest breaking news and stuff like that, I'm more apt to talk in the private community than on the public platform. So join me over there. You're never, ever, ever disappointed over there in the private community. All right. It's $2.99 a month. Click the Linktree link in the video description box of the video you're watching. If you're watching live, moderators are putting in the live YouTube chat. Desktop or laptop you're watching on YouTube, live or replay, there's a join button right up under that video, all right? Twitch, Instagram, anything outside of YouTube or Facebook, you must come to those two platforms. Search VTerrillHill, any video you're watching, you should be able to click the Linktree link and join for $2.99 a month. Now, for those of you guys that follow me for my spirituality, my soul healing, my consciousness, and my awareness and how I approach, if you are attracted to how I approach source, God, then you want to be a part of this private community, www.joinsafespace.com, www.joinsafespace.com. That's where you can get that part of me. I go live every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be talking about the universal power of prayer this Thursday at 3 p.m. and then prayer at 9:30 a.m. every Saturday. And I do some affirmations and posts almost daily. I do affirmation and post almost daily in there as well. A lot of the people have been taking advantage of the DM, and not just me, but my parents are there. There have been some private community members that have been talking with my parents and connecting with them on a personal level. You have access to me and my parents over there in the DMs, and I've been doing really well responding to those DMs really quickly. All right. Email me info@VTerrillHill.com, info@VTerrillHill.com. I answer all. How many? All emails over there. Okay. Last but not least, like, share, subscribe, and comment. Like, share, subscribe, and comment. Okay. The likes are doing pretty good. 22 likes, 27 if you're watching. If you're watching on Facebook, do me a favor and like this video. Last but not least, the healing code will be up and to close the business on Friday. So if you heard any part of this series and you were triggered or you're motivated to heal, I'm offering tarot card services and soul healing services for 50% off. Tarot card and soul healing services for 50% off. Okay. All right. Are y'all ready to rock and roll? Juice. Okay, Juice. I believe I got your number. I'm going to text you because I want to bring you on 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Friday and chat with you. Okay. I think it'll be a great conversation. So I'll reach out to you no later than Thursday for that. Y'all, let's get into the things of the things. As y'all aware, we started an abuse series. Now, y'all might think I'm just lying, but the reality is when we got to episode 6, we still had no idea episode 8 was coming. I'm going to say it again. Episode 8, we had no idea that there would ever be an episode 8 like it was. We were working on a bonus episode about narcissism, and that was it. But we did not know, even up until this episode, what we were about to do on February the 13th, 2024. I would love one day to talk about the prophetic. Matter of fact, we should do maybe Friday. I don't know. But and the 299 community, because I think all of y'all want to hear it. I'm going to talk about the prophetic side to how we got here. It was extremely prophetic. And we would be up sometimes to 3 o'clock in the morning. It would start off with a conversation. And by the time we got off the phone, we knew, okay, we're going live tomorrow or going live in 2 days. Even the thumbnails that not the thumbnails up there, but the thumbnails I've been placing in there, how we created them. It was all a thing that seemed outside of our hands. I feel like we were possessed literally for about a month and a half, and we couldn't shake it. And we couldn't shake it. And we would do one, so, okay, we're done. And then we would do another one. Okay, we're done. And then another one. And then we're done. And until I did episode 8. Let me say something to you. Some of us are on a prophetic path, and you're not going to understand this path fully until you get to the destination. So it's best to keep walking and don't stop. And let me tell you this, entrepreneurs as well as spiritual people, because they are very much in alignment, if not the same, there will be more times that you're going to be walking the path not having the answers. Then there are times that you're walking the path with the answers. A lot of times, my entrepreneur friends, my goal setting friends, you won't get the answer until you're well within the journey. And if you're at the starting line waiting on some kind of confirmation, you are wasting your time at the line. You must march forward and let the rest figure itself out. When you get a vision in your heart, when you get an idea in your head, you just got to do it and let it figure it out. When I started going live on October the 16th, 2022, I did not have this was never in my mind. I had no idea it would matriculate to this. Well, look here, about to work on 3 years later. But if I did not start randomly out of nowhere at a Sunday evening talking about Kanye West being a Gemini, we wouldn't be here right now. All right. Somebody put in the comments, I am going to start. It is important. It is important because if we did not start, I remember, and I don't know why I'm feeling late to say this, but I'll talk about the prophetic piece a little bit as we built this series. I remember feeling like there was an urgency on what we did. We were supposed to, we had a date that we were going to release this video. And but the thing was, there were some things tied up on the back end. There was some alignment that needed to happen amongst the producer and I. And I remember in November getting angry, and I understand why. Angry, like, come on, we got to get this done. What are you doing? And really wondering in myself, why am I over here like a madman? Because I was on a prophetic timeline, and something in me knew that February the 14th, I think it was the 14th, 13th, whatever the day was, the 14th was coming. And we could not get to February the 14th if we didn't drop on December the 18th. And so I am telling you, we got to be a little bit more sensitive with how we move. Not because God is going to get us, but if we execute it right, we can get the benefits from it, okay? If we go ahead and execute, if you go ahead and sow the seed, you can reap the harvest. But if you're trying to, I don't know if the ground is ready. I don't know what the weather going to be tomorrow. The seed will never get in the ground. Put the seed in the ground. I'm just saying. Put the seed in the ground and let nature do its course, do its working. But if you're only thinking about it alone, you haven't even started. It's not spiritual. Can I say something? It's not spiritual to just think about it. The spiritual person takes what's in their head and manifests it in their hand. It's not let me say it like this. You're not completing the full cycle of the spiritual process just thinking about it. It's completed, it's fulfilled when it gets out of your head in your hand. So if you're not doing anything to get it in your hand, you're only at level 1. Start the YouTube channel. Start going to the gym. Start speaking how you feel. Start the book. You got to get started. All right? And that's important because we're here right now because unknowingly, inadvertently, and mistakenly, we did episode 1 December the 18th. And that's real, all right? So I want to encourage the entrepreneur, the spiritual person, the parent, the CEO, get it done. Get it done before it do you. Let's get started. She's more connected to this than what I thought. And so we rearranged the entire concept of the show and decided to just align it to her story in the beginning. And then in segment 2 and 3, we'll talk about how, the problem, how this persists, and then we'll discuss how to fix it in the solutions. All right. Without further ado, I want to welcome my guest and my friend, Miss Shante Charles. How are you, Shante?
I am good.
Good to hear that. Good to hear that. I have been looking forward to speaking with you, and I'm not going to take up too much time. But before you get into your story, take a quick moment, and introduce yourself, and just let us know who we're talking to.
Well, my name is Shante Charles. I like to call myself by the name that I've been given by my creator, and that is the mental abolitionist. I am a minister. I am an author. I am a multidisciplinary artist, and I use the arts to bring transformation to people around the world. So that is the short version of what I do.
I absolutely love that title. What does a mental abolitionist mean, though?
So, according to God, a mental abolitionist is one who comes to set people free in their mind, in their thinking, and in their thought process. So, I'm here to help people to see their way out, to help people have that aha moment, have that light of illumination come on that brings about freedom and transformation for them.
And that's the original reason why I wanted you to come on the show. But then you dropped your story on me. And before we get into take a couple of moments and share with the audience your history of abuse.
So, my history of abuse, I would say, starts at a very young age, and it starts with grooming. Um, I remember from around the age of 5 having interactions that were inappropriate for my age with family members or connected family members, I would say extended family members of the opposite sex.
Mhm.
And that was around 5 years old. It was more of a touching and kissing, but it was nothing, that went further than that. Around the age of 9, I was molested by another younger, well, not younger, but another young family member. And then I remember at the age of 11, we had some family transitions in our home, and my mom was involved with a man who was involved in the occult. He was an open occultist. He was a Satanist, and he was a warlock. One of my family members got a hold of some of his intimate material in print. I'll say it that way.
Corn.
Yeah, the intimate material in print. And I asked that family member, where did you get that from? And he told me he got it from, my stepfather. So that was how I was introduced to porn. So I got introduced to like seeing the magazines and all of that around, I would say 11 years old.
So, and sorry to interrupt you, but 5 years old, I was taking notes over here. 5 years old, you were touched by a family member. At 9 years old, you were literally, I guess, fully molested, is what you were saying?
hmm
And then at 11 years old, you were introduced to corn.
hmm
Wow. So for the first 4 years for the first 5 to 11, what is that? 6 years of your life, there was some kind of premature sexual imprint on your soul.
Yes.
My word. All right. Keep on. I'm just, taking notes. Keep on going.
But during that time, and I say grooming because my stepfather, he would have us doing certain things for him, like rubbing his feet, rubbing his back. He would be half dressed and he would, ask us to come in and rub his back. So you had this sort of like touching someone intimately and, having children touch you intimately and making it sort of a normalized part of what you did. Because anytime he wanted his feet rubbed and anytime he wanted his back rubbed, it was, oh, tell so and so to come here and perform, this activity. So, looking back, I was able to kind of see that as a form of grooming. Around that same year, I was taken along with another family member. We were often with him because my mom was working a lot. She was working all the time. And so he was with us most of the time when he was not driving trucks because he was a truck driver. And so during the day, he would have us, during the day doing errands or whatever with him. And I remember one time I was in the back seat and my other family member was in the passenger seat and he drove us out to like this wooded area and he stopped and he got out and he opened the door and he took the other family member and he said, we're going into the woods and we're going to be back. Now I remember it was, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes or something. It was a long time for me as a kid, right? To just be waiting in this car, like, where did they go? So he comes back with the relative and, she's sitting in the car and she's very quiet, very non-responsive. And then he looks at me and he says, do you want to come into the woods? And I don't know what it was, but something in me just said no. And it was a very like bold, no, I don't want to do this. Right. And he didn't take me into the woods. But after that event, I noticed that, the other relative was starting to be like get favored more. They would get taken out places alone with him. They would be given certain gifts and things that everyone else was not given. So I started to see like this preferential treatment happening. So there was one point I remember I was like playing outside and oftentimes he would keep the other relative inside the house. So this one time we were outside playing, I went inside and I kind of went inside, I think maybe to get some water. And I heard like this cry, I heard like this whimpering sound. And then I heard his voice. And I remember going down the hallway and, the sound just kind of kept getting louder. And I opened the door and I saw him, in the performance of CSA. And I remember just standing there in shock.
Hold on, CSA.
Child sexual abuse.
Oh, Lord. Okay, gotcha. All right, go ahead. Got it.
And so
I really got to do better with my smile and grin because that was not the right. I got to fix that.
I just kind of stood there like I didn't know what to do, but I knew what was happening was wrong.
Mhm.
And as I shared with you, before, a couple of years prior to that, I had seen The Color Purple.
Uh,
And so seeing that and remembering the imagery from The Color Purple actually connected for me to know that what was happening was not right.
wow.
And so when he turned around, he saw me, he hopped up, and he immediately began begging me not to tell anyone.
Right.
And I don't know, it was just this boldness on the inside of me that said, I'm going to tell.
I want to stop right there. Um, I want to stop right there. I can't stress enough that the co the companion to abuse is silence. As she said, the first thing he says is begging her not to tell anyone. And I wonder how many kids are up under this code of silence and they feel like they can't tell, or they're honoring their word with their abuser by not telling. I'm telling you all, the cancer, the destruction, the atomic destruction of abuse is saying something. The moment you speak, and I think that might be, and this might be too spiritual, there might be too out there for this, but I mean, excuse me, this idea might be just too out there even for me. But it makes me wonder if that's that kind of energy that rises up when a whistleblower blows the whistle, where it's like these wolves come out of nowhere and attack them. I wonder maybe that attack comes from the person bringing light. Because let me tell you something. Most people want to stay in the lie. Most people want to stay fake happy. No one wants the disturbance. Most people, excuse me, do not want the disturbance of truth. They want you to always keep them unconscious. So when someone speaks out, the way people get offended, it's as if they are upset that the person is causing a disturbance. And so it is very imperative, uh, parents with kids, and even as adults, that you speak. Let's keep on going.
And I remember him like pleading, no, 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 please don't tell. Please don't tell anyone. Please don't tell your mother. I'll do anything. Just don't tell. Don't tell. And I just kept saying over and over again, I'm going to tell.
Right.
And so right after that, he ran into his room. He packed up what he could pack up, and he got out of town. He literally left town, escaped that very moment, which led to a court case, which led to some other things. He did not get prosecuted because my did not testify, even though his own daughter testified.
Okay. This family member hasn't came out with their story yet. So she made a mistake and said who the family member was. That's why we beeped it out. And it was a pre-recorded interview. And I promised her I would make sure that I beeped it out. Yeah.
Testified that he had done the same thing to her when she was younger. But lots of criminal intimidation went on, during the process. He would like follow us around. He would come back to our town and like stalk us and threaten us that if we testified, he was going to unalive our whole family. So there was a lot there that happened.
That's a lot. That's a heavy story. What we're gonna do, we're gonna come back because so many times we hear the story, but you even have some examples about how you understood that this not only happened to you, but there was generations before you that experienced the same thing. We're gonna play a commercial real quick, and then we come back. Let's take about 3 minutes, talk about that, and then we'll go into the next segment. We'll be right back. I would love for you to join our email content. It's in the description box 6. If you're just watching this, my Lord, make sure you go back and watch the replay of the first 10 or so minutes where my special guest, Shante Charles, has talked about from the age of 5 to the age of 11 plus, how her soul had been imprinted with some kind of sexual assault or introduced prematurely to sexual images. And it's quite horrific. And there's more. And I'm not even going to belabor the time. Shante, continue on and tell us more about your story, what happened after that, and whatever else.
And so after that, because of what happened, and because he was pretty much like the majority breadwinner, remember, he had isolated us really from our family into, Black middle class. So he leaves, he escapes, all of this happens, which leads to us becoming unhoused.
Wow.
So all of our stuff thrown out, we're left with one garbage bag. We're unhoused during all of this.
And let me ask you this real quick.
Yes.
Did you feel guilty for telling
Yes.
that all that happened with your family?
Yes. I went through years of thinking it was my fault.
Mm.
And if I would have just kept quiet, then our life wouldn't have changed. So by the time I get to college, I am on this date, told the gentleman, he offered some alcohol. I said, no, I'm not interested. I don't drink alcohol. He offered some orange juice, drugged the orange juice, and I woke up with him on top of me.
Hold on. So the guy drugged your juice?
Yes.
And this is 18?
Yes. And it was a roofie. Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ. Okay. And you woke up from that with him, and if you don't mind me asking, he was just on top of you, or were you being literally penetrated?
He was going to town.
Jesus.
And so I woke up, he hopped off of me. He was wearing protection.
Thank God.
So that gave me an idea that he had done this before. When he finally took me back on campus, I did what most traumatized women do. I took a shower.
So let me highlight this. Women, and as insensitive as this may sound to be saying this, women and men, people, humans, if you are ever SA'd, do not shower, go to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Do not, I wish I could scream this and make sure it gets into the very inner sanctum of your spirit.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing you might want to do is go take a shower because you feel nasty.
Yes. Yes. And you're in shock.
Yes. But so let me tell you this. God forbid something ever happens to you. Don't even go to the police. Go to the hospital because they have everything there that is needed to get you. First of all, if you're a male, you can automatically get on PEP, which is a 30-day pill just in case that person is infected with HIV. And they probably have other medicines. Of course, I'm from the LGBTQ community, so I know that part. But there's probably medicines you can take, as well as they can collect any kind of foreign specimen that can be used as proof so that person can be charged. So not to interrupt your story, but I think that is a key point as well. Really. All right. First of all, I want to say this. Daryl Fraser says, it always mostly starts at the age of 5. I wonder why, because mine started at the age of 5 until I was 13. Daryl, I'm first of all sorry to hear that happen to you. And then secondly, I hope that you have, done what you've needed to do to heal from that. What later in this interview, and this might be the first one that we go all the way through, we're going to talk about the lure of young people and why people go after the young. But I'm sorry that happened to you, Daryl. I'm sorry that happened to you. These CSA stories rise during summer break. We have to watch our children closely. Yeah. Let's keep on going. Really quickly, tell me what you discovered later on about around the fact that this wasn't a one-off situation, that you realized generations before you had suffered some kind of abuse.
So after what happened to me, I will say it was not well received with a lot of my family members. I had family members say, because I was already sexually active, I had family members say, you deserve this. I had family members say, you put yourself in the position to be assaulted. And so through my own prayer time, through my own time of therapy, through my own time of healing, in that time, God said, go back and ask your generations. Go back and talk to them. Go ask some questions.
Okay.
Because he said it didn't just start with you. Go ask some questions. So the first person I went back to was my grandmother. And that was when my grandmother shared with me for the first time. And I was probably 20, 21 at that point. That was when she shared with me that she had been raped 2 different times in her life. One, she had been raped by a police officer. You're talking Jim Crow times.
Yeah.
Stopped on the side of the road by a police officer by herself in a vehicle. He took advantage of her. A child came from that, and she gave that child up for adoption.
Wow.
The second time it occurred, remember, my grandmother is a missionary. At this point, she's a young missionary. And she had gotten, the preacher had offered her a ride home from the service. Got in the car, preacher sexually assaulted her.
Jesus.
Got her pregnant. Child sent out for adoption due to some medical issues and things. Both of the children born had medical issues that she could not afford to take care of.
Jesus.
And so the condition of taking care of the children was to adopt them. Wow. Long story, my uncles and her reunited. We know my uncles, et cetera, et cetera. But products of sexual assault.
Correct.
Then talked to my mom. My mom got sexually assaulted by 2 men when she was 16. Had a gun held to her head, sexually assaulted. When they got done, they put the gun in her mouth and they were getting ready to shoot her until they heard somebody coming through the field where they were doing what they were doing. And they said, leave her there, let's go. And so they ran off rather than killing her.
My good God.
So that let me know that there was a generational pattern there. And this is something that I always tell people to look for. Look for the pattern.
Look for, let's stop for that. I'm not going to stay here long because we're already over time, but look for the pattern. I know a lot of people have different spiritual beliefs and some this and some that, but if you got any inkling of spirituality in you, look for, or consciousness, look for the pattern. We're going to stop right here, Shante. And what we're going to talk about next, because good Lord, we could get stuck in all of this. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And we're going to come back. We're going to talk about how does this pass through happen? How do we play a part in fueling this cycle of abuse? Then we'll take another break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about how we fix it. Because they don't need to be talking about it if we don't bring you any solutions. We'll be right back. I would love. All right. Let me get to this commercial, y'all. So what she said was that she went to her mom and grandmother and found out from them that both of them have been R-worded in very heinous ways. And that put her on game that there is such thing as a pass-through of abuse. Which is why it's so important to talk about it. Because by talking about it and confronting it, you stop it from happening to the generation that comes after you. I remember doing a documentary, producing a documentary one time. And in that documentary, there was this entire family where the family members were saying there's not one family member in this family that has not been touched. So we can be like, oh, there's no such thing, but I believe it. I believe the things that we don't deal with can possibly be passed down to the next generation and passed down to the next generation. So I'm going to give an example. And I'm not being funny, I'm being dead serious. If you know you and your cousins were spending the night humping under the covers, that's not just something that you try to get out of your mind. If you did not deal with it, you need to make sure that kind of sexual exploration is not in your kids. Because may I suggest this? You did not naturally pop up in your mind one day, let me just be nasty. That just didn't come out of nowhere. That was in you, passed down. Why? Because one of the things we don't talk about is sex and sexuality in our families. If you have not had a sex and sexuality conversation, not birds and the bees are, children of God don't have premarital sex. No, but do your, okay, I bet, you know what? Let me just say it because I'm about to turn this channel away. Do your children understand sexuality? One of the reasons why kids don't talk is because we treat sex and sexuality like it's a bad thing. You don't even know how to talk about sexuality. Unfortunately, you go to your average church. Look at my first lady over there. Oh, we're going to read some scriptures tonight. Giggle. And everything is a joke around sex and sexuality or a sin. So I need to say this and I'm not going to get stuck. If you have not confronted your sexuality, you are leaving your children uncovered in a crazy world. If you have not got in the dirty of your life, 9.9 times out of 10, your children are smothering in mud right now. They're suffocating rather in the mud that you didn't clean up. And what happens? A pass through. Yeah. All right, let me keep on going because I said I was going to get stopped there. I was 4 or 5 the first time I was SA. Jesus. And this is why I'm doing this. This is why we did this abuse series. If y'all have been watching all the episodes up until 6, I only brushed past the messiness in episode 4. Every other episode was trying to get people to address what has happened to them, get people to see it was not their fault. It was voids in them that were unmasked or unconfronted. This episode I'm doing now in episode 7, this is not messy. Episode 1, 2, and 3 was not messy. This is real. And I think that's might be one of the reasons why I'm recapping, to make sure, like a foundational check. This safe space started to create a space of safety for people that have experienced abuse. And that is important, especially as you all are sharing your testimonies. And Lakara, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I know this is, our words might not have a lot of weight, but I am so sorry that has happened to you. I'm sorry that you were not protected. But I hope that you have gotten your power back and your dignity back. I hope so. Yeah. Okay, good. I got deliverance and went to therapy for years, even confronted one of the abusers. I'm so glad to hear that. That's a beautiful thing. I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah. LaQuisha, your kids will understand and thank you later. I don't trust people either. Kids shouldn't be left alone to play either. Absolutely. No, that is true. Absolutely. And let me say this, left alone on devices. Pornography is so easily accessible these days. Instagram, you can almost show everything on Instagram but major extremities, but you can show your nude buttocks. On Twitter, you can show any and everything. I believe Blue Sky, any and everything. There is a trend going on TikTok right now where people are flashing their sexual organs really quick. So not just alone with other kids, but there needs to be some strong monitoring even when it comes to electronics. Yeah, let's keep on going. You are so right. And I learned that perversion is a curse in my family, but my generation broke that curse. I love that. 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 Oh, you have no idea how much I love that. And that was the whole point of this episode, Lakar. I'm glad you're here to witness to that. Hey, Dante Harris, how are you doing? How are you doing? Daryl Fraser says the kids learn sexuality from Fortnite. A lot of parents don't know the games are the biggest pedos. Oh, there's a lot of suggestion in entertainment these days, and a lot. It goes on and on. My kids are very clingy to me, and sometimes I try to break free, but I also thank God that they are clingy the way that they are. Absolutely, absolutely. You are sounding a necessary alarm. Oh, yes. Yes. Let's see. Angel Heart says, Daryl, it's not your fault. God, please continue to heal his mind, body, soul, and spirit. God, please continue to give Daryl peace and take away any feelings of hurt and guilt. Please give Daryl joy. Amen. Amen. LaCara says, it wasn't easy, but I get to help women and men alike over that spirit. I love. Hey, Miss Ricks, how you doing? LaQuisha says, I monitor my kids' advice. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to keep on going. If you want to think about the weight of this content we've been putting out for the last 6 live shows, think about the majority of your problems now were birthed when you were a child. What if they would have taught us that you're not no whore, you just don't know how to control your emotions? Let me stop there. Cohort 5 says, I once walked in on my cousin, age 16, and uncle having vertical sex while his kids were outside playing. I've never said anything because I didn't want to break up 2 families. My cousin was very willing. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Lakara says, I watch all your videos, but never catch it. Oh, good. This is the perfect one to catch. Yeah. Was there any kind of resolve that happened, cohort 5? Did anything ever come out of that? Let's keep on going.
The first part of the show, we dedicated it to my special guest, Shante Charles, telling her story on how she experienced abuse from 5 to 11, and then she suffered the results of abuse really from 12 to 17. Then she was sexually assaulted again at 18 in college, and something in her decided to ask grandma and ma about their history. And what she found was that this did not start with her. It started generations back. And that's what we're talking about today, the generational cycle of abuse that goes from one to the next. One thing, Shante, you said in the segment before was patterns. Watch the patterns. And that is important. And that leads us into segment 2. How does this happen? And I'm going to ask you a question. How is sexual abuse able to happen from generation to generation?
Well, a couple of different ways that it can move from generation to generation. I know for me and the religious sort of context in which things were happening in our household, with the stepfather that was engaged in the occult, a lot of them take blood oaths, taking oaths that require death or require curses on your family, should whatever oath they take be broken. So some of it can come through that. Some of it is what I call cultural curses, or just having miseducation or undereducation or disinformation. With my mom, the only real conversation she had with me was, I don't care if you have sex, use a condom and just don't get pregnant. Don't bring a child home, because I will put you out if that happens. And so not having that real proper education coming from the home. Yes, you can hear things from school.
Right.
Yes, you can hear things from your peers, which I know for me, my peers influenced me at 14, because I had this idea because of what my mother said, right? I wasn't really taught about sex being something that was sacred or sex being something that was even good. It was just.
Let me interrupt here. I think that is something to highlight. The
Mhm.
conversation. You cannot expect, children do not come out the womb knowing what we know.
Mhm.
And if you have not had a conversation with your children about, not just because when we were growing up, the only conversation was don't do it. If you have not had any conversation, or the don't do it conversation, or in your regard, wear a condom, then you have not had a conversation about sex. And let me go further.
Mhm.
If you've shared a preaching series from the teenage ministry about sex, you have not had a conversation about sex. The only way you can have a conversation about sex is if you've had a conversation with your children about sex. And I think that is important because, and I'll let you continue, there are so many of us who've made mistakes that when our parents found out about those mistakes, they chastised us as if we knew, when we didn't. We don't even clean our room consistently and right and take out the trash right, but yet we're supposed to hold the burden of sex. Go ahead. What were you saying?
So one of the things, the major thing, like you said, is teaching your children and not leaving it up to guesswork. The other part is not allowing children rights to their person and their bodies. We
Explain
talk
that.
about how is it able to happen. Your children goes over someone's house and they say, I don't feel comfortable around this person, and you still make them be around that person. Or I don't want to hug this person, and you still insist, well, that's so and so, you better hug them. You can't treat them like that, you must do it. So you're taking away their autonomy at a very young age. You're taking away their right to choose.
Yeah, you're teaching them to go against their instincts early on. I'm going to share a story, and I'm going to share this. I'm going to share this with a lot of compassion because it's a horrible story. I knew someone who uh, they were a single parent, and they would send their child over someone's house, and that child would cry, 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 cry. Please, please, I don't want to go over there. I don't want to go over there. But the parent just in survival. I'm not going to beat the parent up because you don't know until you know. They were in survival, doing the best they could, to find out years later the reason why that child was begging not to go over there was because the child was literally being R-worded by, not just touched, not just fondled, but literally penetrated going over those people's houses. And that story to this day still hurts my heart.
And I will say with the person that, like I said, I walked in on their CSA happening. When we got to the part about how could this have happened, my stepfather wrote a letter to that relative saying that I have permission to do this to you, and signed that relative's guardian's name on the paper. It was wicked.
And if there was
So
any kind of
if
conversation,
she was admitting to it because she literally thought she was being given over by the guardian to let that happen to her.
and if there would have been any kind of close relationship of communication, we'll go back to this communication part. If there would have been communication, it would have been really simple for this family member to go to guardian and be like, guardian, is this real? But there was no communication. Or to
Let me stop right there real quick. So, and hopefully y'all following this. She was talking about children having agency. And one of the first breakdowns, and I know it's cultural, especially for Black people, but one of the first breakdowns when it comes to a child's agency is when we make children go there, hug your granddaddy. Stop being rude. And children, believe it or not, subconsciously learn that they don't have control over their own bodies. That's why I feel like, and I'm not a parent, so I have to be careful here, that you should not just, because you're my child, you and there needs to be more explanation, more wisdom, more teaching, because the subconscious message could be, I do not have any rights or say so if it's by a sanctioned adult. So if I go over pastor's house, come here, sit on my lap so I can pray for you. The child doesn't think twice because we've made them go hug pastor every time we didn't want to hug them. And I never thought about that before until Shante said it. And so we got to make sure that we go beyond the no touch zones and make sure that every child understands that they have agency over their own bodies, even at an early age. That is extremely important. Let's read some comments here. Lacara says, incest is a silent killer for real. Yes, it is. Daryl says, thank you all so much for this, because suicide is real. God has been there each time I tried to take my life. I ask everyone to please be careful with their kids. And I'm glad, first of all, Daryl, thank you for trusting this platform with your past experience. But if we could use Daryl as an example, he's working through things, and possibly your whole life is altered once that trust is broken. Even after healing and deliverance, once the body, a wrinkle gets in the brain, you just never gets out. That experience will always be there. You just manage it and you go through it. This is something that happened to him at 5 years old. And that's why I be hooping and hollering like I do, because I don't think parents really realize, like, yo, if I let my child slip through my fingers, they'll be the recipient of the consequences of that, not me. And that's a real thing. Daryl, thank you for your braveness, and thank God that the attempts didn't work, man. LaCara says, I love you, Daryl. You are much more brave and courageous than you know. Just Being Me says, hi, Vincent and SafeSpace. I've been listening at it. Hey, Just Being Me. Good to see you on here. K Sharp says, Vincent, I have truly enjoyed the last 5 lies the most. You are amazing when you're in the healing space with firm conservation. Much respect. So thank you so much, because I've been questioning, what am I doing over here since I started? I've been questioning. Cohart says, no, I never stayed over my aunt again. I don't know how long it lasted. My cousin, uncle, and I never spoke of it. Wow. I'm interested. I got some more questions, Cohort, but I'll ask you in private. LaQuisha says, I am the parent, but I do allow my kids to express themselves, and I listen. So many parents don't listen. Yeah. I thank God I didn't have kids young, because you know what? As bad as I wanted kids at a time in my life, I secretly am grateful that I didn't have any. Because at this level of consciousness that I am right now, I would probably have to fight guilt. The guilt of dropping the ball, because I would have dropped the ball. Not even trying to, not even wanting to. The intention's not to, but I would have, because we are literally destroyed because of the lack of knowledge. Let's keep on going.
To your point, because kids are being made to do things, their communication is shut off. And we're going to get into this, because from the Christian perspective, sex is bad is not enough, or you are a whore, or God is displeased. Sex is not a straight line. It's not linear. It's really a very personal thing. But what I'm realizing is, and then I got to go to this next question. What I'm realizing is, Parents can't teach their children that because parents are not even educated. They don't even know what their sex life is. They have
Right.
it, they do
Right.
it. There are
Mhm.
some mothers who just lay down and let the husband have sex just because they don't want to be bothered. It's just fine, do it. Oh, it's nuanced to the core. All right, God and hypersexuality. This is something that I want to discuss with you that I have been mulling over and over, Shante. Why does
Here's where this conversation gets really, really interesting, guys.
why do most religious spaces have this deviant, dark hypersexuality right up under the covers? I'll use your example. Your abuser was a part of the some kind of satanic cult. Catholicism, you got these Catholic priests who are known for molesting, the altar boys or girls, or however that works. From my religion that I grew up in, the Christian church, every week a pastor is being exposed for some kind of sexual impropriety. Talk to me about that.
Well, because I know a little bit about the occult and child ritual abuse, obviously having witnessed some aspects of it, um, sex in those instances can sometimes be used as an empowerment for the person. Um, in terms of the spirit world, and the younger the person is,
Hold on. Sex can be used for the empowerment of the person.
of the occultic person, yes.
Well, we're gonna go religious space all the way around because
Hmm.
I don't think you know how universal that is because we're on two different spectrums. You were raised in the
Yeah.
cultic space. I was raised in the Christian space. That that I won't stop there. Go ahead. We'll talk about that later. Go ahead.
Okay. And so the younger the victim is, the more power or energy they get from that young from taking that young person's innocence. It really is an energetic thing that they're trying to accomplish by doing the ritual. So it's not just the act, it's the power that's gained from defiling.
Let's just see life for a second. Let's breathe. When I tell you, and I know your space, but I'm not looking at it just from your space. I'm looking at it from the broader space. That makes so much sense to me. That makes so much sense to me. Why some things are the way they are. It's power. And I think that from a spiritual perspective, though the satanic occult is more conscious of it,
Hmm.
it's not lost on me that there are some people that are not in the satanic space that are doing it and don't even realize why they feel the way they do when they do it.
So let me bring some sobriety to this because I was having an aha moment in the middle of it all. In the occult, these occult leaders would have improper relations with young people to siphon their pure energy, to take away from them. And then they would use that energy for their powers. And I think there are preachers, pastors, apostles, prophets, reverends, doctors. They don't realize it, but they go after the young, pure ones and don't realize that craving that comes on them to abuse is coming from wanting to tap into a supernatural power. Unfortunately, for organized religion, we've put such a gap between the us versus them. You know, we ain't like that. We don't burn sacrifices. We're not witches. We're not warlocks. And it's such a gap that we're not even clear that the same thing that's going on in the church is the same thing that's going on in the cult. It's just that Rev don't realize what's happening. He's siphoning power from the young boy, from the young girl, from the 19-year-old, from the 20-year-old. And let me say this. A lot of times, it be the pure ones. I hope this is not insensitive. If it comes across insensitive, Please let me know in the comments. I wish I could have a private conversation with those boys that Dwayne Youngblood assaulted. Because I guarantee there's a similarity, and it ain't a look or nothing like that, between all of them. Their purity was taken from them through a demonic act of sexual improper relationship. It's not just a sickness in context of what I'm saying. It is a spirit. Especially when you get an undisciplined person operating in realms that the level or consciousness of their soul cannot maintain. And you think it's a safe realm because you say the blood of Jesus, not knowing that alone don't do nothing if your soul is not in alignment. All right, that's heavy. That's another conversation for another day. LaQuisha says, and sitting here listening and thinking about things, I remember my grandmother and a couple of other family members telling me and my other female cousins which uncle to not be alone with. Yeah, that's real. I'm just going to say they hide behind these women that know what they love, and to this day, it's so many men that want the extra activities, and the wives or girlfriend allow this for them to do this. Yeah. I believe there are a lot of first ladies that know. But if they say something, it messes up their vision for their life. It ain't got nothing to do with nothing, but they don't want the fallout from it. Especially you're talking about, let's say, a mega ministry. You're not just calling out husband, you're messing with your pockets. That's a real thing. Cora says, another uncle essayed another cousin as a kid, his stepdaughter. She had a meltdown because of it in college. My aunt and my mom questioned us to find out if we were essayed. Thank God no one else was essayed. Wow. I'm glad your aunt and cousin. I was touched. I don't ever tell this story, but I used to go on mission trips. And the trip to Romania, when I went to Romania, I went to Romania, and one of the pastors in the community was sitting beside me. Well, I've always been someone that's in my head, always been in my head. So people would think I was asleep, and I'm just imagining, actually doing what I'm doing right now. Since I was a kid, I've dreamed of doing this differently, but same essence. And the next thing I know, he puts his hand on me. And the only reason why it didn't go any further is because right when he put his hand on me, the bus pulled off at the rest stop for us to take a restroom break, and he snatched it off real quick before I could wake up. Then we went to the bathroom, and he had got missing. And he was the last one to come on the bus. And I remember thinking, did he go in there and masturbate? And now that I think about it, I was too young to even because in my mind, it just made sense. Like maybe he went to go relieve himself because he got all hot and bothered. Like justifying the acts. And only God knows what would have happened if we didn't stop at that bus stop, and it would have been my word against his. It is not uncommon. I'm going to say something, and I don't want to get in trouble with my own community. But you got single men in your church, and they all of a sudden get a liking for your son, did it. Dead it. Dead it. I know that might sound harsh, especially if this person is a part of the LGBTQ community. Why do I say this? Not because, no, hear every word I'm saying, not because that LGBT person is more apt to do that. No, that's when you see the accounts that's always taking place, it's always the straights doing that. It's not us, literally. But just because you haven't touched a child don't mean you're not being abusive to the child. What do I mean? There are some men and women who live vicariously through your children. Their lives are not set up to have a nuclear family. So all of a sudden, that's my son, my son, my son. That's my daughter. No, that can be an ungodly tie. They might not touch them, but they're like living their life through this connection, getting their rocks off with this connection. And when I say rocks off, I'm not talking about sex alone. There's more things in the world than a hard on. If you want a son so bad, go get you one. If you want a daughter so bad, go get you one. Go do the work, the paperwork, go through the adoption process and have one. And leave people's children alone. Now, this is from somebody who is a part of that community, and I see it misused all the time, where the older gay got the younger gays, and that's my son. That's my son. That's a strange spirit. Strange spirit. Strange spirit. Now, when it comes to the straights, them the ones you better watch for the other stuff. And I'm not trying to be political, but I think it's fair to say it is hardly ever someone from the LGBTQ community that's being charged with sexual assault. It's always someone that's allegedly straight. In other words, I need to say this because of the example I just used. Just because they're gay don't mean they're perverted. Gay and perversion are not synonymous. Lesbian and perversion are not synonymous. And you sitting there watching him, and it'd be your own brother raising hell. All right. All right. I had to make sure I bring some balance in that, because what you're not going to do is make me seem like I'm saying that if you are LGBTQ, you're more apt. But I've seen here's what LaQuisha said, an unnatural attraction. It's a very unnatural attraction. It's weird. Yeah. All right, let's read this real quick. Levantri says the concept of the blood of Jesus has a cult adjacency. Some believe that. Some believe that. LaCara says, I'm very blessed to have a village that loves me. Absolutely, it's needed. Angel Heart says, Daryl, you are more than a conqueror. You shall live and have an abundant life. You are courageous. Thank you for sharing and saving someone. You are amazing. Love you, Daryl. Continue to shine. Yeah. It is so amazing. Angel Heart, thank you much, because I'm trying to save so many kids from my trauma. Absolutely. Of course you did. 1406 says, the purity comment makes young blood's name seem eerie. Young blood. Right. I didn't even catch that. Daryl says, you're right. So true. LaQuisha says, an unnatural attraction. TC says, a cousin tried me, but I got away. Sadly, a bunch other kids in the family and neighborhood didn't. My cousin did a whole series on it on Facebook last year. Y'all probably seen it. Fam still covering for him. Shake my head. I'll never understand it. I have one mother and one father, no spiritual parents. Absolutely. Absolutely. Levantri says 100%. Church cats will see you as a teenager and wish they were like you at that age. And now some strange draw to you is created. That's exactly what it is. It's a strange spirit. Strange. I don't even talk like that, but it's a strange spirit. Yeah. LaCaren says, I never understood spiritual parents. Yes. Cora says, I remember the janitor at my elementary school used to lure girls with candy into the janitor's closet. He tried to lure me at 10, but I ran because I knew he was a deviant. Wow. Yeah, this is real, y'all. This is real. And I'm glad, Cohort, you had the wherewithal to run. I'm glad you had the wherewithal to run. Let's keep on going. We're almost done with this.
Yeah, it's a soul harvesting, because you are extracting the innocence from that person in the act of what you're doing.
All right.
So the other reason is that, because, like you said, there's a strong emphasis sometimes on sex as being wrong, as being impure, and this is where cult leaders come in, because they often hype you up with this: sex is wrong, sex is impure, don't do it, it's bad, with the caveat of it being okay and pure when it is done with the cult leader.
I had to let that out.
Now, someone would say that was ill-placed, but y'all got to remember this was before episode 8. And I had no idea she was going to say that. And so y'all know I'm always laughing, even when I'm serious. That was a real moment for me, because that's what happened with me. Literally, that's what happened to me. As long as I was having sex with him, he never asked me, did you ask God for forgiveness? I was never questioned on. Let me tell you what I was questioning. One time we had sex, and I went to the restroom afterwards, and I started speaking in tongues. He said, what are you doing? I said, speaking in tongues. He said, hold on, don't do that yet. It's too soon. That was it. It was a spiritual lesson on how to go up and navigate around and be careful and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But now, if I was to lust after someone outside of him, you an elder, you can't be trusted, gotta get you, you'll mess up this whole church. So inside of the perimeters of our relationship, it was always okay. But any ounce of anything sexual outside the relationship, I was going to hell. I never forget, because you couldn't masturbate. And if you did masturbate, you had to tell them that, you masturbated. And if you watch porn, you'd have to tell them what porn you watched. So I could confess, I feel like masturbating. And I remember him saying something like, if you do it, God gonna kill you. But then the very next text would be, come over, I'm ready. And yes, this here, it's confusing. It's a scrambling of the mind. And you really start believing that you're covered up under some kind of grace because it's with the man of God. Not knowing up until 2024, I lie not. I'm lying to y'all not. Swear to God, I'm not lying. Not knowing how much perversion I was pumped with. Just, it's the grace of God. I'm not a streetwalker right now. Just filled with perversion. And I started feeling my innocence come back last year. And I didn't do a lot compared to others, but it was a part of my, it was so a part of my thinking that I could only tell it wasn't a part of me when my mind started going back to its original state. Yeah. That's a real thing. And y'all know I'm trying to get away from that, but it's spiritual malpractice as a leader to speak from a place of pity. God have mercy on me. When you've played with the sheep's mind for years. See, it's one thing to have an ongoing relationship with the CEO, with the entrepreneur, They're not in your field. They're not eating off of your table. It's another thing to have an ongoing sexual relationship with the person you prophesy to. And you preach holiness to. And in my opinion, anything short of I have been an abuser, I have misled her, I played a part in leading her on and taking advantage of my power, F grace, you are operating in malpractice. You are a schemer, a skeezer, a magician of sorts, a wizard pulling the cloth over the people's eyes with the word of God. You don't get it easy out when you're driving the sheep to the wolves. You pay for that with blood. Okay, hold on. All right. Breathe, Vincent. Don't y'all be fooled by no scripture and no sad, soft tone. If you ain't broken, if your response is to post convocation flyers the next day with TD Jakes on it, like a clapback, and then your itinerary, you don't understand the gravity of your position, the gravity of your job. There's some low-life pastors out there that won't hurt the sheep. Leave the sheep alone. Leave the sheep alone. There's 1,050 women out there. Why are you messing with the sheep? Why are you messing with the sheep? All right. Well, you get me started. Of course you did. Me too. I feel your spirit. Yeah, Daryl. Yeah. Me too. The similarity to my experience is still a lot for me now. Yes, absolutely. It's the strangest thing. I remember my pastor. I'm talking about going in on oral sex. I'm talking about at least 5 minutes of preaching about oral sex. And the same day, get a text, come suck my. And I question, like, yo, I don't want to do that. That's a real thing. Okay. Only sorry you were exposed. And I can't say that that's the case, though it gives. But what I'm saying is the message that person is putting out is it's okay to destroy the sheep. Just apologize and be nice. That ain't right. I'm glad you broke free, VT. Yeah, I'm glad to. Okay, Sharp. Vincent, does the lines of spiritual and sex blend, which makes it hard to understand oneself and experiencing? Absolutely. I did a whole series called Spirituality and Sexuality, and people don't realize it. There's a church that I watch sometimes in New York. It's a young pastor. He got a lot of young members, and all they do is dance. And I remember telling the producer, I said, that pastor don't know it, but he's setting his people up for trouble. Why? Hear me. You do dancing. No wisdom, no teaching, no discipline. It's a lot of dancing. And then here's where the malpractice comes in. You leave the people wide open, and then they go out. Spirits wide open, unchecked perversion, lies still being told, and your spirit is wide open, and the first thing you do is go to the house party. And you don't know why your sex drive is on 10. Because there is a thin line between sexuality and spirituality. And if this was talked about more often, these preachers would truly understand that and keep themselves from making a muck. You cannot get to spirituality without sexuality, and you cannot get to sexuality without spirituality. And sexuality is not having sex. It is a consciousness about sex. It is the understanding of your body and your drives and your feelings. In short. So that is why there's so much sexual darkness in spiritual places. Where you find power, you will find illicit sex. Where you find power, let me switch this. Where you find power, if not checked, you will find illicit sexual activity. That's why the preachers be like, after I finish preaching, I got to be covered because I be in my flesh. No, you're a human. It ain't flesh. It's the humanity mixed with the spirituality, mixed with the sexuality. And if you cannot control that, that don't mean rebuke the devil. Understand why you get this uncontrollable urges after you prophesy for 20 minutes. Because therein lies data on your sexuality. But because religious spaces, the trick is to not talk about it. Why? Abuse happens in silence. It's not a coincidence that sex is the one thing that's not addressed until Valentine's weekend, and it'd be the pastor and the first lady, and they be giggling, and oh yeah, and if you married, and but ain't nobody talking about it for real. Oh boy. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop here. Are singing and crying. I don't know where that comment came from. Hey Gary, how you doing? Leave the sheep alone. Yes. Daryl, I do have a question. During the times of molesting, how do you feel God was seeing this happening? I always wonder. I am very different than most, Daryl. My beliefs are not conservative. I'm going to say something, and that might trigger some people. God ain't got nothing to do with it. God ain't got no respect to a person. God ain't about to come down here and It's a matter of fact. When I came out of my mother's womb, my parents' job was to equip me with everything I needed to get through life. And where I was not equipped, I was attacked. Now it is my responsibility, because I was attacked because of the lack of equipment, to now fix it so it never happens to me again. That has nothing to do with God. That has everything to do with the village and the culture I was raised in. There are atheists that teach their children self-esteem. And their children has had agency and autonomy to never be touched. While there are God-fearing, speaking in tongue Pentecostals who have allowed the quote-unquote devil in 11 times because they have not taught their children. It got nothing to do with God, religion. It has everything to do with the dropping of the ball in the family structure. Point blank period. That's how I ended up in the hands of the abuser. Now, I got to be honest with you all. I don't know if that's true or not, But that's the only way I can process it. Because I will never believe that God allowed me to go through that 13 years of tyranny just so I can talk to 40 people on YouTube. That don't make sense. Now, of course, in the lifespan, I'll be talking to millions before I die, but I'm just saying, no. That's another thing that religion will make you do. Religion will make you content with suffering and justify it by some divine providence, when the reality is you don't have esteem. I'm going to say it again. Religion will make you content with suffering and justify it by divine providence, when the reality is you don't have the adequate esteem to say no. If God is in it, that means that he's a respecter of person. What do I mean by that? Because let's say when I was a child and that pastor put his hand on my thigh. Well, we pulled off into the bus stop so he could not go further. But what if he's went further with another child? Does that mean God honored me but didn't honor them? Then there were people that came through my church and left because they was not in alignment with them. Does that mean that God spared them and didn't spare me? We got to take God out of it or it'll never make sense, and you'll never be able to grasp full accountability. We'll never grasp full accountability blaming God and the devil. I was a broken man attracted to another broken man, and that brokenness created more brokenness, and it's my job to fix it. Now, God wasn't in it when it happened, but I have been calling him in it to undo it. Let's see, Vax, very little teaching. Yes, very little teaching. You can't just be going in these churches hooping and hollering and jumping. You're going to catch a demon. And I ain't talking about because the church ain't. I'm talking about period. You got to, that's a whole nother teaching, but you got to learn how to keep your gate closed. As much as I cut up, I never cut up beyond my gate. I got a gate, and I'm not about to open up like that. No, I got to keep my gate closed. But that's another teaching for another day. Daryl says, I'm not questioning God, but those were some of the things I went through. Yeah. And we got, and do me a favor, y'all, take that language out of your talk. God allowed it. Do you know how deafening that is to the God person? You think God literally was sitting there and watching somebody suffering and be like, well, for my glory. That's inhumane. Yeah, it's a very thin line between spirituality and sexuality. Yeah. It's healing in here tonight. Go forth in your ministry, my brother, SafeSpace. Thank you, Daryl. Thank you so much. And we wonder why so many preachers fall. Yes, absolutely. As pastor and artist, that line is so thin. In many ways, it's connected. You as the anointed one need to be clear about who you really are. That's it. That's right. That's why I don't thank God something didn't happen to me when it happened to many others. Where was God for them? It's just facts. It happened, time, place, circumstances. That song, it could have been me, outdoors, no friend, no clothes, all alone, without a friend, just another number with a tragic end. But what about the people that don't have clothes, are all alone? Thank you, Lord, for all you've done for me. So that means God ain't doing nothing for them? God ain't in this. Slavery happened because of hatred. God ain't in it. Iran and Israel are bombing each other. God ain't in it. It is the decision of man. And if you really understood what I'm saying, you would realize you have more power in your life than what you know. You are decisions away from breaking out and breaking through. No. Don't be like the man waiting by the pool of Siloam when you can just roll in. Get up. Take up your bed and get to a better place. That person who apologized after being exposed, they sang and cried. Oh, okay. Tracking. I'm not saying they were not sorry, but it was only after exposure. Right. Tracking. I'm with you now, Lucretia. With that understanding, could God have intervened though? No. God is not our personal genius. God can only intervene if we give God access. The Spirit, through our magic, our prayer, our faith, our belief, our energy. My mother often says that the only reason why I didn't lose my mind is because they were praying. Y'all think, because now let's do the opposite, okay? How did I get there? Parents didn't equip me, abuse. But how did I survive to stand here? Praying parents. They made a decision to pray. Are y'all understanding how that works? And if they were not praying, 9.9 times out of 10, I would not be on this microphone. You got to invite God in. God is not sitting there on the line just waiting on you. You have to be purpose-filled in what you open up to the spirit realm. It's not coming just because you're breathing. It's not coming just because you say in Jesus' name. You must be purpose-filled in your journey with God. The work is on you, not God. And when God comes in, it's not like a big man comes down and touches the situation. Energy and intent surrounds you. The supernatural, by universal principle set before we breathe air, kicks into gear. That's why focus is so important when it comes to prayer, because when you pray, you focus on something. You put your energy on something. You put your imagination on it, and you create it. My parents created a portal by way of energy that protected me from total demise. All right, let's keep on going. There's no contention and suffering. No. I never thought of it like that. This is good. Also, don't like the God don't play about me mess. Life is choice driven. Let me tell you this. You cannot be cursed by someone that you're not in covenant with. Oh, Lord. Y'all got me working today. It's an hour and 40 minutes. You cannot be cursed by someone you're not in covenant with. Now, what do you mean by cursed? This kind of access to you, not because they're the big bad prophet or the warlock. They have access or connection to you. So the first thing you must do to undo yourself from harm from others is break the covenant. That's why I spoke out. I wrote a letter to symbolize the breaking of the covenant. As long as I maintain the gate of my soul, of my life, there is not a word spoken that can tear me down. Well, pastor spoke it, and it happened because you're in covenant. When you leave an organization, a job, a neighborhood, a church, you must make sure that you close the door of access from that space, or it still has access to you. There are no doors open. You can't touch me. keep my doors watched and locked. That's why you got to stop thinking about them. You are giving them access. That's why you got to stop talking about them. You are giving them access. That's why you got to heal from that wound. The wound they created is giving them access. That's why I'm afraid for my brother from across the water, because he feels like he's exposing, but he keeps on giving his enemy access. All right. This is good teaching. Self-reflection is taking accountability and inventory of where was my mindset was. I did not know to say no. So I can't blame God. Right. That's right. Amen. Let's see. You have autonomy. God gave it to you. And if you real churchy, he gave you free will. God only comes where he is invited. Yes. Daryl says, David said, I was young, but now I'm old. I never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. Yeah. Oh Lord. That's a lie. Unless he was the righteous, is talking about the practitioner of the word of God, the practitioner of spirit. Now, in that case, I can believe it. Oh, Lord. We were saying at the same time, he has to be invited. Yes. Trey says, I completely agree with you, VT, but the problem is we were taught God knows and sees all with the context that God allows. He won't put more on you than you can bear, etc. Yeah. And that's the problem. That's the problem. That whole Job story, where the devil was walking. He's like, well, I can get Job. No, you can't. It's an inhumane story. Inhumane. Let's come out of the spirituality of it and let's look at it for what it is. God was playing chess and not checkers with a human soul. And because he got double for his trouble. But let's think about the psyche. Okay, fine. He got double back, but his psyche will never be the same. He was going through so much. He was scratching the balls off his skin, going through so much. He almost cursed his existence. That's why I read the Bible figuratively and not literally. That's why some of us have been abused. Because we're taking things literal. That was supposed to be a principle to live by. Okay. All right. Oh, Lord. It's good teaching anyhow. Yeah. Gary Prim says, also, God does intervene with warnings from people, but you must accept that warning and move accordingly. People get mad at God, but rarely do they say, I chose my actions over the warnings. Yeah. And let me tell you the door that allows people to be mad at God. That kind of language. God allowed it. Okay, since you allowed it, then I'm allowed to be mad at you. Can I say something? There have been people that committed suicide over what I went through. Did God fail them? No, really. If God won't put more on you than you can bear, did the person who committed suicide, they punked out? Are you saying that they punked out and they just didn't stay in the race? Or if they committed suicide, is that not, if God allows it, does that mean that that blood is on God's hand? Because we can't have it both ways now. We can't have it both ways. If God is allowing this to happen, then why is it that I'm going to hell for committing suicide? Wouldn't the waste of the exit of life be on him? Did he not know that if this get on my shoulders, I was going to crash out? So how is it that God allows it, but at the same time don't have to take responsibility for it? So which one is it going to be? Does he allow it? Or is it due to decisions of the village in the culture? Because we ate up over here, man. We ate up. We ate up trying to understand this God piece. God is not a human. God is not a literal man with legs and a penis. God is a system, a source, a being in all, of all, because of all, created all, not a human being. Making human being decisions. What language did God and the devil speak when they had this checkers and chess game with Job? Who was there to prove it? And I'm not discrediting the Bible. I love the Bible. The Bible is full of God. What? Systems and principles to get through this life. Now, you can say, okay, now you're going too far. Let's break it down some more. Why is it that every era has its own interpretation of the word of God? Do you really believe that how the Bible was interpreted in 200 AD is how the Bible is interpreted in 2025? No. That's why you must read the word to get the lesson and not to prove your Christianity. There's so much teaching and wisdom and direction in the Bible. Because the reality is, the story of Job is a great story on not giving up. When people around you are trying to convince you to give up your hope, give up your essence, give up your belief system. And even you wanted to, but you didn't. And how if you can maintain the confession of your faith, whether it is, I will be successful in this business, I will be a great father, a great son, a great mother, a great teacher, a great entrepreneur, and I maintain it regardless of what comes my way, I will get what I want. Now, which is more applicable to everyday living? It talks about the maintaining of your faith, understanding your relationship with God and not letting it slip in hard times. All right. I got to stop. We're an hour and 50 minutes in. Amen. I didn't grow up in church, so it was hard to subscribe to the church world. Yeah. That wig was the wig made me sad. Now, y'all have to understand where I'm coming from. Now, and those of y'all know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't worry about it. I've been there. I wanted that man to fall so bad, I was drunk by it at one time. And I believed I was on the right side of history. So I would lean into it sometimes. And I ain't even talking about in my shows. I'm talking about not the show, I'm talking about in real life. In real life. And I feel like that's what's happening with him. Now, here is how abuse happens. Because he is literally looking at it like God is in this. he's not operating in the safety of his soul. He's wide open, all in, because God's going to fight for me. Unfortunately for him, it don't matter what he think. Lovey is doing the same thing, all in, wide open, because God's going to fight for me. So which person is God going to choose? How do we know? Let me just bring some sobriety to this real quick. How do we know that no matter what or who Lovey is, that he is not helping people? How do we know that Lovey is not being used on the earth for a very specific reason and he needs to stay on the earth doing what he's doing? We are not God. And we got to stop acting like it. And we got to start minding our own business. There's not a YouTube, there's not a confession, there's not a one thing that can tear that person down. I hope I wasn't calling those names because I've been talking. And there's one thing, them. The only thing that can truly tear someone down is themselves. Nothing else. I can do a video a day until the cows come home about my abuser, and that ain't gonna fix nothing. My abuser can wake up one day and decide in his own heart to make it right with God, with his God, the God of his understanding, and make proper decisions and choices from there on out. And guess what? Nothing happens. Can do right by money, can get a bag, mind his business, and die happy. I am not God. I cannot control people. All right. Y'all don't mind if I'm gonna run through I'm not gonna comment. I'm just gonna read the comments. K Sharp, the God I serve would not play with life. He created me, then decides to play Russian roulette. Nope, I can't fall for that again. Right. Happy year of 9, VT 4 and 5. Right? Right. Yeah. Right. I learned that the story of Job was placed in the Bible as an allegory and placed in the poetic section of the Bible. The person of Job may have never existed, and that's okay because the story is still powerful. Godly, you breaking religiosity. Yeah. God is a spirit being. Yeah. We can put down the church, but never the word of God. Yeah. Got to study to show yourself approved. That must be a Gemini thing because I don't give up either. Oof. And that person needs to stop, close his spirit, and rest before he finds himself up and out of here. Yeah. I was so concerned in closing because not only is he going through the court case with the other guy, he's in a court case battling for his children. I was listening to him. I said, God, Lee, man, bruh, you got to stop, bruh. And then at the same time, needing, I think, $2,800 to make sure church bills was taken care of. That's a lot. That's a lot. We cannot control people, places, or things, but how we respond. Absolutely. All right. Y'all. Y'all listen. If you enjoyed today, you are going to madly enjoy tomorrow because episode 7, we interviewed Dr. Feluso, who is a licensed therapist that specializes in spiritual abuse. And that was the conversation we had that we're going to review tomorrow. So again, she's a licensed therapist. She has a practice right now, and she specializes in spiritual abuse. She counsels people who have been abused spiritually. And so if you enjoyed this, then you're going to love tomorrow. Meet me here at 9:30-ish tomorrow, okay? So what we're going to do is, because I be on 9:30-ish time, make sure that you text VTerrillHill to 833-458-3658 to be notified when I come live. Text VTerrillHill to 833-458-3658 to be notified when I come live, all right? If you enjoyed this today, and you want to give to this platform, give to this movement, I would appreciate if you would. if you don't mind doing it. If you feel led to, or you feel like you've got some kind of deposit, I would love for 10 people to give $10. The Cash App is SafeSpace VTH. The PayPal and Zelle is info@VTerrillHill.com, and the Venmo is @VTerrillHill. SafeSpace VTH Cash App, info@VTerrillHill.com is the PayPal and Zelle, and the Venmo is @VTerrillHill. If you send me something nice, I will open something nice. P.O. Box 221, Wissett, North Carolina, 27377. P.O. Box 221, Wissett, North Carolina, 27377. I will be in the private community. I really want to do an after show today, but my mattress topper just came in today versus yesterday, and I really need to add it to my bed. So I'm going to add it, and if I still got strength, I might do a pop-up, so y'all watch out. Other than that, I will be live with my parents at 3 p.m. on the public platform tomorrow for Bridging the Gap. I think it's episode 42 or 43. But nonetheless, I do after shows normally. And you would, if you enjoyed today's TED Talk, you would enjoy the after show. It's only $2.99 a month. You can join it by clicking the Linktree link in the video description box of the video you're watching now. Watching on YouTube Live, the moderators are putting the YouTube link in the live chat. If you're on YouTube, desktop, or laptop, live or replay, there's a join button right up under this video. You can click that way. Twitch, Instagram, anybody else, you must come to Facebook or YouTube to find the Linktree link, all right? I do after shows there, and I do Yapalations there most of the time. Now, if you have enjoyed the spiritual side of this, the spiritual teaching, you feel spiritually enriched, then you want to join my spiritual community, the Sacred Space. And you can join that by going to www.joinsafespace.com, www.joinsafespace.com. You get 4 days for free, and afterwards it's $9.99 a month. I'll be in there. I said tomorrow, but I'll be in there Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking about the Universal Power of Prayer Part 3, the Universal Power of Prayer Part 3. And Saturday at 9:30 in the mornings, we have prayer, okay? I have a Pentecostal approach to my spiritual expression, but my consciousness has expanded beyond the traditional space. It's a very interesting hybrid of a space, the Sacred Space is, but we are open to all beliefs. There are some people, they don't believe in tarot cards. There are some people that I guarantee you don't speak in tongues, but it don't matter, because as long as you believe in yourself, then you are welcomed in the Sacred Space, all right? Go to www.joinsafespace.com. Let's see here. I answer all emails, info@VTerrillHill.com, info@VTerrillHill.com. Like, share, subscribe, and comment, all right? Like, share, subscribe, and comment. Thank you guys so much. Those likes doubled since last time. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all from the bottom of my heart. Last but not least, if you were moved, triggered, want to continue the conversation, I'm offering 50% off soul healing conversations and tarot card sessions up until close of business Friday. Go to the Linktree link in this video and click tarot card sessions and soul healing, and then you choose which one you want, choose the date and time, and then when it's time to pay, put in the promo code HEALING, and you'll get 50% off the session, all right? 50% off. You'll get a confirmation email. It's very professional with a Zoom link in it. You click that Zoom link at the time and date you choose, and you'll be able to have a sit down with me. Now, you do not have to choose a day before Friday. You just have to purchase it before Friday, all right? All right, let's see what y'all saying over here. I saw a smart comment. That topper ain't going to take all night. I know, but I'm slow. I'm so slow. Of course you did. And plus, I've been up here. My voice is dry. I've been up here hooping and hollering for 2 hours. Hopefully the other party loves him as much as he says he does and will show him mercy, but he got to shut up. Yeah, I was told that he has no intention of showing him mercy because he won't shut up. Yeah. This has been so good. I've stayed in the bushes for a while. Lessons like this help me tremendously. Thank you. K-Sharp, it's good to see you. It's good to see you. All right. Thank you guys so much. I'll see y'all tomorrow at 9:30-ish. If you feel so led, please give to this movement, give to this moment. All right. Until the next time, y'all be blessed.
Safe Space, refuge for growth and healing. Want to be connected to all that SafeSpace has to offer? Join our email community. Stay in the loop with inspirational insights and updates. Join our email community and connect with like-minded individuals on the path to self-discovery. Sign up now.
Find your tribe in a safe, supportive space. Join the SafeSpace private community and connect with others who get it. We're waiting for you. Stay connected wherever you are with lives and video drops. Text VTerrillHill to 833-458-3658 for instant updates and powerful insights. Join the text community now. Curious about what's next? Book an intuitive tarot reading with VTerrillHill and get the clarity you need. Your future awaits. Heal from within and transform your life. Schedule a soul healing consultation and take the first step towards wholeness. Start your journey today.
Click the Linktree link inside of the description box connected to this video for all of what the SafeSpace universe has to offer.